Hello, BookTube. It's time for another essay, and it's going to be another from Arnold Bennett. I'm reading from Books and Persons, being comments on a past epic, 1908 to 1911, published in 1917 by Chadel Windus. Mine is the second printing in August of 1917. They're first published in June of that year. They are articles that were published in the New Age under the pseudonym Jacob Tonson. From 1908 to 1911. Today's article appeared on 9th of May, 1908, and is entitled Ugliness in Fiction. In the Edinburgh Review, there is a disquisition on the ugliness of fiction. Probably the author of it has read Lisa of Lambeth and said, "Fa." The article, particularly inept, is one of those outpourings which every generation of artists has to suffer with what tranquility it can. According to the reviewer, ugliness is especially rife just now. It is always just now. It was just now when George Eliot wrote Adam Bede, when George Moore wrote A Midsummer's Wife, when Thomas Hardy wrote Jude the Obscure. As sure as ever, a novelist endeavors to paint a complete picture of his life in this honest, hypocritical country of bad restaurants and good women. As sure as ever, he hints that all is not for the best in the best of all possible islands. Some whittling is bound to come forward and point out with wise finger that life is not all black. I once resided near a young noodle of a Methodist pastor who had the pious habit of reading novels aloud to his father and mother. He began to read one of mine to them, but halfway through decided that something of Charlotte M. Yonge would be less unsuitable for the parental ear. He then called and lectured me. Among other aphorisms of his which I have treasured up was this: "Life, my dear friend, is like an April day, sunshine and shadow chasing each other over the plain." That he is not dead is a great tribute to my singular self-control. I suspect him to be the Edinburgh Reviewer. At any rate, the article moves on the plane of his plane. The reviewer has the strange effrontery to select Mr. Joseph Conrad's Secret Agent as an example of modern ugliness in fiction, a novel that is simply steeped in the finest beauty from end to end. I do not suppose that the Edinburgh Review has any moulding influence upon the evolution of art of fiction in this country, but such nonsense may, after all, do harm by confusing the minds of people who really are anxious to encourage what is best, strongest, and most sane. The reviewer in this instance, for example, classes as serious Thomas Hardy, Joseph Conrad, and John Galsworthy, who are genuine creative forces, with mere dignified, unimportant sentimentalizers like Mr. W.B. Maxwell. While he was on the business of shifting the serious from the unserious, I wonder he didn't include the authors of 3 Weeks and The Heart of a Child among the serious. Perhaps because the latter wrote Pigs in Clover, and the former was condemned by the booksellers. Nobody could have a lower opinion of 3 Weeks than I have. But I have never been able to understand why the poor little feeble story was signaled out as an awful example of female licentiousness and condemned by 100 newspapers that had not the courage to name it. The thing was merely infantile and absurd. Moreover, I violently object to booksellers sitting in judgment on novels. Well, there you go. There's the end. It's a short one again, by Arnold Bennett. I just love his acerbic wit after getting lectured by the, how's he call him here? A noodle of a Methodist pastor. And after being lectured, that he is not dead is a great tribute to my singular self-control. Anyway, we'll see you next time, BookTube. Take care. Bye.